Hi everyone, I'm Alister, Benn, and you're watching Expressive Photography. This is possibly the wildest shooting session I've ever had in my life. I'm out here with my client Chris. We're having the most insane day. I've never seen the ocean so huge off the coast of Scotland here. Wave after wave, huge 50-foot waves crashing over the rocks behind us. Chaos, noise, just getting buffeted by the wind the whole time. Sea spray, our gear getting completely destroyed, me getting completely destroyed, falling over and gashing my hand open. So welcome to this completely chaotic and wild situation. And what can we do in these situations? Some of the toughest conditions I've ever photographed in, and trying to make sense of this landscape at this point in time is just mind-numbing. I'm almost speechless, which, as many of you may know, is very unusual for me. So let's have a look at what we've been able to do here. Let's have a look at some of the video. Let's have a look at some of the chaos that's happening, the energy, the power, and let's see what we can do to try and create something coherent from this just jaw-dropping experience. Now, this is a location some of you may recognise from when I was out here in November with Adam Gibbs and my other client Phil, and the difference between that day and this day is just incredible. This is about 2 to 3 hours after high tide, so I can't imagine what it was like. We were over at another location first thing, but you can just see the amount of waves piling over this coast. And the thing about it is there's so much foam and there's so much spray, and the waves are just so huge that making any sort of photographic sense out of it can be extremely difficult. So I think what I've tried to do is sort of isolate, and if I zoom in a little bit here with the video, you can see that as we eliminate more of the landscape, we can tend to rationalize things just a little bit better. I think one of the key things about this, and the thing that I'm kind of learning from it, is sometimes you've just got to look and appreciate it and enjoy it. And even if, because if I measure this experience by the photographs that I make, I might ultimately be disappointed, and that would be such a tragedy, because to just witness this incredible experience is in its own right just worthwhile. And if I come away with any photographs at all, I'm quite happy, but not to obsess over it, not to fixate on it to the detriment of the experience itself. And I think that's a massive learning curve, because if we do let our desire to make photographs kill the experience, then we've lost, we truly lost, and life just becomes a lot less worthwhile. So I would strongly urge you, if in the presence of something majestic that you're struggling to control or to get photographs that make sense, just sit back and enjoy it. Put your camera away and just watch. Now, I have made some photographs. It's impossible to vlog them because I'm having to hold on to the tripod, I'm having to shield my microphone from the wind. It's just an impossible vlogging situation. Well, it's not often that I use the word insane when I'm out photographing, but that was just the wildest thing I think I've ever experienced. It was genuinely shocking, being in that place, and the rocks were incredibly slippy and you could hardly keep your balance in the wind, and as soon as you put your backpack on you were off balance again. It was just, after we've been 5 hours, Chris and I have been 5 hours out in that wind with big squalls of rain coming through, just really dynamic and quite exhausting conditions. So we've come down to this little cove that I know, where we've got these beautiful boulders. I think they're all Luitian gneiss, ancient rocks, these over a billion years old. Just incredible things. So I've been out and about with my 2470, stopped all the way down to f2.8, or opened up to 2.8, and using very shallow depth of field, and instead of using my tripod, I've just been hand holding in aperture priority with about a stop underexposed, just trying to use the shallow depth of field to isolate little rings or colour contrasts or veins of different colours. So I always find scenes like this truly fascinating, because it's really a shot out of nothing, I think, and really what we're dealing with here is, this is at f2.8. We can see I'm in automatic automatic mode, aperture priority, f2.8, 1/100th of a second, ISO 400. Pretty gloomy in here, and I've put the camera on a tripod here now just so I can make it easier to record this. And the shots that we're getting, I'll put it in the 2-second timer again just to alleviate any shake. It's focused there, you can see the red sensor point there, making sure it's on the bit of focus that I want in there. And all of this stuff is out of focus, and we've got some nice kind of marbling at the back there, which is really quite attractive. If I pump up the aperture, and what I'll do with this, I think, is I'll focus stack it, and even at f13 we're still not going to get entire sharpness at the back there. So I'll focus stack, and this way we'll kind of build up a sharper back to front photograph, and we'll see how those two compare. Obviously with a sharp, super focused version of this file, we're going to lose perhaps some of that atmospheric element, but we're going to end up with this incredible detailed view of this scene. So it's an opportunity really for us to compare two entirely different types of photograph. One that's sharp all over, which is going to feel, incredibly detailed, versus one that's got this atmosphere judged in here. And we'll see, this is what creativity is all about, is to be able to get a feel for that. If we look at the wider view here, you can see I'm using my Arca Swiss C1 Cube, and this is where I really love the micro adjustments, just being able to fine tune that down to exactly where I want. And you can see as soon as I go up here, I'm starting to introduce some areas in the top of the frame, there. So what I'm doing is I'm just scrolling down until I'm just getting that framed nicely in the top there. And I'll be honest, this is a scene that I really, really like. I'm just going to take one at f22, which is going to give me, and I'll just focus it somewhere in there, and that should more or less give me front to back sharpness there. So we'll compare one at f22 and the shallow depth of field ones, and that's us. I'm not sure how successful I've been, but I do feel that it's another way to just disengage from that chaos. I thought it'd be a bit less windy down in here, but it's swirling around in here, so it's still a bit deafening and a bit blustery. But that was a really nice way to kind of decompress. It's a much safer environment to play around. The tide has gone way out, so we're just sort of spending the last couple of hours of the day in this area, and we might wander around to a sandy beach just for last light. But all the same triggers apply: luminosity, contrast, colour, geometry, all these beautiful round boulders and veins, angles, triangles, geometric shapes. And there's not a lot of atmosphere in this environment, but what there is a shallow depth of field, and that's why it's very easy to shoot these things f16 or focus stack them, and you can create very beautiful photographs that way, but they become like architectural studies of boulders where everything is sharp and everything is in very sharp relief. And what I've tried to do instead is to juxtapose the sharp areas with the out of focus areas creating that sort of atmospheric element. It makes it a bit dreamy and a bit otherworldly. You're not quite so sure what you're looking at anymore. So a pretty satisfying day's work. Feeling a bit beaten up, and our legs are aching from up and down the cliffs, carrying all our gear and so forth. So it's been quite an adventure today, but fascinating, just so fascinating. I hope you like the photos. They've been hard earned today, and of course, if you like the channel here, please do subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It's always very much appreciated. But for now, today, in the wild, windswept northwest of Scotland, I bid you farewell until next time for another adventure with expressive photography. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.